As more and more moose have shown up in northeastern Montana over the last few decades, wildlife biologists wondered if they had a new species of moose to manage.
We've always thought of all moose in Montana being Shiras moose, essentially which were described as kind of this Rocky Mountain subspecies of moose. But in the last 20, 30 years, we've started to see moose trickle into eastern Montana. And there was an initial question, are those Shiras moose in eastern Montana, or do we now have two subspecies in eastern Montana?
Many animal species are divided into subspecies. And across North America, moose were thought to include the Alaskan, northwestern, eastern, and Shiras. But now new research shows the Shiras more akin to the northwestern.
Essentially what we've learned is that when we see moose in Montana, we're seeing moose that are really close relatives to those in Alaska, to those in Saskatchewan, and that the differences we see in terms of body size or antler size are more a function of the habitat they're living in.
Moose are relatively new to North America and haven't had time to evolve and differentiate like other deer species.
In the case of moose, they evolved in Asia. The idea that we think now is that they colonized North America only 10 to 15,000 years ago. And so they just haven't had as much time to become different.
And while this change won't impact most of us Montanans, it will help wildlife managers conserve moose in the future.
Going forward is that we don't necessarily need to be thinking of moose in eastern Montana and western Montana as distinct or differently. We kind of manage them all as one animal. It's complicated, but I think the lesson from that is really that we treat all these moose across the western North America equally and don't necessarily need to be concerned with Shiras moose themselves as a distinct conservation unit.
I'm Winston Greeley, out among Montana's fish, wildlife, and parks.